Welcome to Between Both Cheeks, the podcast where we talk business, beauty, and butts. We'll be stripping down the aesthetics industry, whether you're here for spicy beauty tips, savvy business advice, or just a little banter. We've got you covered from front to back. So pull up a cheek and get ready to discover what happens between both cheeks.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to another episode of the Between Both Cheeks podcast. You have Becca and Erin here today, and a special guest, a personal favorite of mine, maybe because we have the same name. We have one of our customers, Rebecca Pendley from California, Bakersfield, and we invited Rebecca on the show because she has been a customer for a few years. I don't know how you initially found us. You'll have to let us know. But we made a connection on Instagram, and Rebecca's favorite product of ours is our HiPlay, which is a microcurrent device. And she's actually the reason that on the website you can now buy 20 units of something at a time with a bit of a discount. That is because of this woman here. And we invited her on the show because she sent a message a few weeks ago saying that she had a, and I quote, "that's so Luba," end quote, moment with something happening in her business right now. And I just thought, number one, if you know the phrase, "that's so Luba," I've done my job as the marketer here at Bright. And number two, we love these resurgent sort of stories, which, as Rebecca will tell you, why she said "that's so Luba." So if you don't know what that phrase means, you'll learn here today. And Erin is here along for the ride as well. I'm pretty sure Erin was at the booth when we first met Rebecca in person at one of the trade shows as well. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I just first want to thank you for having me. Such an honor to work with a group of people who are so professional, so personal, and so welcoming. I mean, you guys have done everything to really help me and support me in my business. So I really.
Oh, thank you.
I love that. That means a lot because we really do try. We pick a theme every year. Rather than a New Year's resolution, Luba picks a word or a phrase to represent the company for that year. And this year was the phrase, "we are more than enough." And it was all about giving ourselves more credits that we do a really good job in supporting our customers, and to stop looking at other companies and what they're doing and really just focus on like testimonies from people like you, because you guys tell us like we really do support you. So that means a lot because Erin does the operations, so it's mostly her, but we work our tushes off to make that happen. So it's good that you feel it on the other side, because that's really what we try to do.
Well, yeah, you definitely hear sometimes like the negative stuff before, or you hear the negative stuff more often than you hear the positive. So thank you. I love to hear that. And I hope my team is listening because I try to tell them all the time they're doing great. So thank you.
It's really been huge. I've been licensed for actually Friday, 11/1, would have been 19 years ago. I returned to aesthetic school. So I've been in the industry for quite a while. I stepped away. I haven't always done skincare full time. And just a couple years ago, that's how I kind of came across you guys, is when I was returning skincare full time.
Okay, so you started, I want to get your timeline. So you started in skincare 19 years ago. So that would have been what, 2003? No.
2005.
Okay, close enough.
Years old, a CPA office manager. I was making $26 an hour. I remember at the time that was, substantial time. And so people really questioned what I was doing or why I was stepping down from this successful position to go back to school and to start over. But at that time, I had two small kids. My kids were 5 and 8. Um, as working in the tax season, the deadlines don't change. I've always been a workaholic. I've always worked a lot. Um, but I couldn't change tax deadlines. So baseball season and tax deadlines were at the same time. And so I had to look at something that I could get back into that would, replace that income because that, wasn't a small income at the time and that could provide for my family, but give me flexibility too.
Okay, so that was '05, and then you stayed in the skin industry. Tell me about like your beginning in the skin industry.
So I I tend to go all in when I do something. And so actually 1 year later, 11 when well, the timeline I might need to look at that. It's either '06 or '07, and I apologize. I get bad with dates because there was a lot going on. But on 11/1 again, about a year later, I opened a 4-room treatment spa with an infrared sauna, showers. I had a full waiting area in the middle. I had 6 therapists who worked for me, and I was solo myself. So I shared a room with one of my therapists. So I was building a business, and I was building their business also. So I kind of jumped headfirst right into it.
I
Uh,
said you're a hard worker.
I was very fortunate that we were very successful. Um, Being new in the industry, there's a million things I would have done differently, but it was amazing. Knowledge and the experience that I gained was just huge. I don't know that I would have hired girls who were independent contractors who were fully booked. Had nowhere to put all these new clients who loved my new and beautiful business. So I worked 7 to 7 every Saturday. I had to take every single new appointment that came in. I'd step out of the treatment room, say I'd done 7 or 8 clients already for the day, and my receptionist would say, "Oh, I have 3 out here waiting for you.
Oh,
Go get a drink and run right back in." And so, yeah, I was doing 10, 12 clients a day because I had nowhere to put them. And as the business owner, that's what I had to do to make it work.
Oh, that's a
yeah.
lot.
And
I
is it
mean, it's a
how is
good
it
problem to
now?
have.
It was crazy. I mean, I've been fortunate that in every incarnation in my business, because I'm a hard worker and um they're my clients. I mean I know how it is. I was a stressful mom or stressed out mom. 2 kids, office, getting sideways into my appointments, going, please don't let me have to cancel. I really need this, but I might be 5 minutes late. Don't dock me, you know. So, I've carried that over with my clients, and I think they appreciate that.
Okay, so that was the beginning. And then, so before we started, when we first got on this call, so our listeners, we were chatting about something else. So you started in '06 and you were crazy busy. 2 years later, biggest recession thus far of our lifetime. Talk about that a little bit. What did you say right before we started recording?
So recently, I moved into a new location. I've expanded again and getting back into it. I don't have all the treatment rooms, but I'm excited for my new space. So in doing that, I kind of had to pull out my old contracts, my old things that I had for my business and the way that it was established. Uh, Business aspect of it to me is very important. So I like to keep those things in order. So I pulled out my old financials, and it was pretty surprising that in '08, in the middle of a recession, my gross income at the time was $188,000.
I mean, that's wild. You could buy a house for that much in 1 year.
And and the terrible part of it is I was just so in the middle of all of it, trying, I got into this for more flexibility with my kids. And here I am having to take every new client. I'm still running to baseball games in between, singing lessons, theater, doing all those things. So unfortunately, something had to give. At that point, I did go through a pretty hard divorce, and then I ran into some health issues too. So uh, in 2012, I had looked at the business numbers for the actual business of the spa, and I wasn't really, I was barely covering my costs for the operation of the spa. But as an esthetician, I was making money. So I went to my therapist and I said, look, you guys are all busy. I have nowhere to put new clients. I'm making money. I'm not in this business to lose money. So either you value where you're working and the beautiful place that you're working, and you either sell a few more products or you pay me $20 more a week in rent, or we're going to look at making some changes, like I'll close the business down. And I think, sometimes therapists, they don't understand, or they're just looking at it from their viewpoint. And, back then, an infrared sauna, showers, full receptionist. I had a washer and dryer on site. I mean, it was a big, nice place. And if it wasn't of value to $20 more to them, or selling one product a week, then why was I doing it? So I actually shut it down. And at that point, I moved into a 2-room facility. One was all my retail and a waiting area for me. The other was my room. It was probably about 1,000 square feet. And I stayed there for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, until my health got so bad that I just had to quit work for a short time altogether.
Yeah, your dedication is, unbelievable. Going from place and then just spending 4 years alone. But I appreciate, like, I do operations, so I love seeing, and hearing about things on the back end. And I think, oftentimes everyone's like, oh, I want, my own salon. I started as a hairstylist. I was like, no, I want my own salon. And then not until you, do it, and you're just like, wow, on the back end, how many things actually go into it. Because here you are, you're like, I want more freedom in my schedule. And you're like, I am a slave to this business.
It got wild. It got wild.
And you were doing so well, and you still were able to, like, step back and actually think, oh my God, do I have?
At it, and I was like, I'm not into business to lose money. That's not why I got into it. So when I really, looked at those numbers, and then, as crazy as it was, as soon as I made that change, uh, my husband of 20 years left. And so here I am. I'm supposed to be doing this for my family and, to make everything better. And now I'm a single mom trying to, make it work and drive 100 miles an hour between my clients and come back in and, oh, and I hope you're relaxing today. Wow.
I get that. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, so then flash forward. So you said 4 years there, and then and in your 2-room, your retail and your treatment room. And I love that you have a room specifically for retail. Like,
Yeah, I love that
I
too.
love
It's
that.
like, wow.
Yeah, only retail.
Retail to me is it, because okay, so for a basic facial or a basic service to get in, $125. Okay, so when I was a single mom and, trying to run I didn't have $125. But if you could direct me to a $45 cleanser that was going to really make a difference, or a serum that was 70, could do that. I could put that in there. And again, I think that's even what's so much more important for my clients now, is because, you're hit with a million things online and everywhere, and where can that money be best spent? So that's always been a number one thing for me, is to take care of them in that way. But yeah, so I went from that place. I I had health issues, which I just recently, when I returned 2 years ago, I discovered what that health issue was too. It's a lifelong health issue. It's a histamine and mast cell issue. And for those who don't know of it, that's actually a lot of my clients relate to that too. But what it is, um, your mast cells are in your immune system, and when you get stressed, when you get overtired, when you don't pay attention to your diet, which I've done all of those things throughout my life to make my business and my life work, my immune system attacks itself. So
Oh my.
it becomes susceptible to autoimmune issues. So going through a divorce from a 30-year relationship, being a self-employed person with 2 kids and, all of those things, my health kind of declined in between there. So I saw it happening, but I didn't know what to do because at the time I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to treat it. So I moved in with a girl that I'd gone to school with. I moved into her room. So I went from my 1,000 square feet to 300 square feet. Was able to continue making it work and go through it. By the time COVID came around, at that point, I thought, I was remarried. I've been remarried for 11 years. Um, and my husband has a business of 35 years, so we're both self-employed. He's very supportive, understands about my business, and probably my cheerleader. Um, but at the time, I thought, let me just go be a grandma. I'm going to go work in an office for a couple of days a week. And, just kind of get away from the hecticness of, skincare because you got to be on your toes out there. It's pretty challenging. And so, as crazy as it was, I did that right during COVID. So at that time, I was managing 14 to 42 employees and working 60, 70-hour weeks again to make it work. And then I was working on clients at night because they were calling because they couldn't get in to get their eyebrows waxed and the things taken care of that they needed to. So again, I was right back in the same boat. And then my health started declining again because of the stress, because of the other things. So I was speaking with someone that I knew, an acquaintance in the industry. She'd been in the industry about the same time as me. She was wanting to retire. And so her and I had kind of spoken about I would step in back into skincare full time. That would allow me to get in a way that was reasonable to step back into it full time. And I could take over her clientele. And then she was wanting to relocate out of the city and retire. And so I was going to buy the business and just get back into it full time at that point. And then from there, kind of uh, the business uh, end of it wasn't handled correctly or to the way that it needed to be. When I got in there, we had COVID. So I came into the business quicker than anticipated. So I had taken 2 months off to get all of my skincare in order, buy all of my equipment, all of my retail products. She wanted me to use everything she was using and all the equipment she was using. So I had to get trained on different equipment, uh, kind of do all that. I gave myself a couple months. So 2 years ago in 2022, again, I don't know what it is about October, November, but it was October and I stepped into her business. From the first minute I got in there, I just knew that that wasn't the place for me and that this agreement was not headed in the direction that it needed to be. But because of my health, because I was working 60, 70 hours a week, it was a good way for me to get my feet back in the door, get started. So here I am. I'm in there working on her clients who didn't even know I was coming in to work on them. She's standing up at the front desk at her retail business, and it was a pretty interesting little adventure. From there, we get probably about 4 to 5 weeks into it, and she's wanting some business information from me, and I wanted her establishment license, and that pretty much came to a head that I was never going to be working in a business that had an establishment license, and that I was not going to get the paperwork that I needed on the business end. And so therefore I it wasn't good. It just wasn't good. So I found out later that she had some outside things going on. She was still seeing clients at her home. She had not, in fact, given me all of her business or all of her book, and she had just given me a select few to begin the business with, so that I could come in and kind of help her navigate the business part of it. When she realized that it, it, she probably wasn't gonna, it just wasn't gonna go the way we both wanted it to. And so I was asked to leave. And one day I was taking a 90-year-old lady off of my bed after waxing her eyebrows. She was on a walker. I got her out of the business. And then she came in and just told me I had to leave immediately. So in a day, I and my daughter went back in. We loaded up every single piece of equipment that I had, everything that was in the room. I called a sola salon. When I started, I didn't even know what a sola salon was. I called a sola salon because I had worked with her, the manager, during COVID, on their flooring through the company I was working with. So I called her, said, "Hey, I need a room." She said she had one spa room available out of their 5 locations. I took it, and that's how I got back into business full time, October 2 years ago.
Yeah, you really like the end of the year. I just your history, like your job history, it's it makes me think of two things, right? Because when you started, you're like, the grass is greener, I'll be able to do this. And it wasn't necessarily greener always. And then earlier in the call, you said, I wouldn't have hired people with full books. So hindsight's always 2020. So with all these lessons you've learned over, the course of
Oh, I've learned a
being
lot.
an esthetician. So you're here with us now because things are going well. You use all those lessons. So you said you're still at Sola, correct?
No. So, Jen, in the last 2 months, here we go again, my October, November rebirth or, renewal, whatever it is. I've been working on this since May. And this is a crazy story too. I mean, my whole existence in this world is pretty interesting. But so in May, I'm working in my sola. I've got a pretty full book. I would say 80%. I don't like to get to 100% because we need room for people. So I'd say 85% in my book. Really working on lifestyle changes and making these things work that I wanted to do 20 years ago when I started. And so, seeing some different types of success this time around. Comfortable, happy, um, really able to work with my clients and with what they needed rather than on all my exterior or my life issues. So it's been very, very fun and enjoyable. And I think that's been the bonus to my clients too. So in May, I have a new client come in. She said that she had gone to someone who happened to be the woman that I was going to go into business with 2 years ago. And I just said, "Oh, I'm familiar." That was it. Didn't acknowledge a thing. And she said, but she has closed her business and she's working from home. And I'm not comfortable going to her home. So I felt it was time to try you. I said, perfect, beautiful, great. Well, during that same week, I had a meeting with my CPA. We've been working on some different things. And I told her, I said, I'm working in 120 square feet. This is the smallest room I've ever worked in my life. I have equipment at home. I have
You don't have a retail room.
yeah, shelves. And I said, my retail is at home. I don't know what I have. My sales are off. I don't feel like I'm taking care of my clients right. Man, I'm working hard over here in my 120 square feet. So I said, I do need more room. So she goes, okay. She goes, well, and I said, and I have a feeling the place I was going to get a couple years ago might be open. And she goes, go call them right now. She said, when you leave this office, I want you to call them and see what you can do. And I said, well, I'm in a lease until the end of the year. And she said, I don't care. We don't know how long this is going to take. It's a good place. You don't want to lose it. Let's get on it. I said, okay. So I contacted the landlord in May. I was in the process. I've been working on it behind the scenes since May. During that process, another person that I've known since, my teenage years, actually we've known each other forever, but we've kind of simultaneously gone into a second career. We're about the same age. Massage therapist. She contacts me and says, hey, I need, there's changes at my place. Are you going to have room? I know you're looking for more space. I said, well, funny you should mention that. I'm working on something right now, but it only has one treatment room, even though it's 1,500 square feet. But let me see what I can do. So in the middle of this, I go into my landlord or my new landlord, and I said, hey, I need more space. I have a massage therapist I can bring in. He said, okay, come and meet with me. We can do this. So he built me a whole entirely new room, 240 square feet just for my treatment room. And then the location itself is 1,500 square feet. So we added in a washer and dryer. We have a full retail display. I have a full waiting area. I was able to bring the massage therapist in, and we opened October 1st.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's the part of the story where I was like, you have to come on the podcast because Rebecca messaged me and she was like, I just had a that's so Luva moment. I'm moving into the same building that, I had a really poor experience at before, but now it's all mine and it'll be my own business and it's a full, proper storefront. I was like, that is so cool. I'm just so proud to have been able to see you from the sidelines the last few years and how much you've grown. It's been so fun.
It's honestly been fun for me too, because this time around, I mean, I had the advantage that I could look at all the mistakes that I've made along the way, or the ways that I grew or didn't grow. And so I've been able to pick and choose with the support of my husband and my family, because right now I've got 3 grandkids and another one on the way. And so as everything's growing, I'm able to accommodate those things, accommodate my clients, and still we're going to have a beautiful, beautiful new location. So I just can't wait for what's ahead. And who knew heading into 60 that, that's where we'd be going with all this.
Well, had I heard your story and how dedicated you are, I would have guessed that. So tell us, Rebecca, what do you know where the address, or if you want to share the location name, where can we find you on social media?
Yeah, so that's probably been a little of my frustration on the back end is I had to work so hard in the room because you got to figure 2 years ago, I was going into a $310 a week rent with no clients. So, I had to put my head down and really charge forward on that. So once I got that in and got it established, as far as the business, there's still some business aspects I'm working on. We have the website in process, so I am getting that together. And then social media was a new thing for me, and Becca knows that. I'm a little shy on social media. I don't do the lives. I'm probably not as fun as some of the girls on there. But it that was a whole learning curve too that I had to throw in there along with working on my clients and knowing the ingredients and all of that. So that was a big piece of the puzzle. So I am on Instagram at rskincare.by Becky. And so I'm looking into getting some help on that. And then we will set up a our skincare studio Instagram too. So, but yeah, that's been a huge challenge because everyone around me is younger, more proficient, just a little more on top of those things. And gosh, what a different world I've come into, in the full time skincare business. When I started, we didn't even really have iPhones, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a whole other part of the job now, is now you also have to do content.
yeah,
It makes a difference and you get clients and it's great, but like you said, your skill is learning ingredients of taking care of your clients. So it's kind of like a rock and a hard place, or a double-edged sword. Like, it's good because you do attract new clients through social media, but it's this whole new skill set that estheticians and hairstylists have to learn to keep up in today's market.
yeah. And honestly, I appreciate the people that I work with, like you, the companies that I've selected to partner with. They have to be supportive. They have to give me education. They have to bring those things to me because my time and resources are limited, you know. So I want to make sure that I'm getting the most for my money and what I need out of the business too. So all of those things have been really huge. And then I would say in social media, I take a different like a different outlook, but I would say even in my business, I have a little different outlook. You're not going to see a ton of before and afters on my Instagram. I've chosen it that way on purpose because I feel like what happens inside my room with my clients is between me and my client. Um, and to be realistic, if you see me do a huge transformation on someone, maybe their budget, maybe their time, maybe their skin is so much different than what yours is that may not be realistic for you. So we need to work on what's good for you, not what's good for, we don't see those crow's feet over there, or we don't see this. I can do that, but I'm not going to put that out on my social media every day.
I
So,
love it. I love the different approach.
yeah, it's probably a lot different.
So we will link Rebecca's social media in the show description. And if you are in the Bakersfield, California area, go and check her out and see the new space. Buy lots of retail so one day she can get her retail room back. Because I love that. That's iconic. I think you're the only person I've ever met that had a whole dedicated room. That's amazing.
One of the things that I learned, and I'll share this because I think this was such a big key and something that I have remembered and operate my business. Like I'm currently working on my own products, and I'm hoping to have those out at the first part of next year. I've been working on those probably the same amount of time I've been working on the acquisition of the new space because I knew that space would be able to highlight and focus those things. I could make it the way I wanted. But one thing that I heard in a training, and it's always stuck with me, is that service is for survival, retail is for retirement.
I love that. That's so
So if you're always chasing that next client, in that next hour service, and you're only looking at the money that you're going to get from that one service or that one client, you're missing the big picture. Like I, I don't have no shows in my business. In the 2 years that I've returned, I've never had a no show. I also, the majority of my clients come to me, even if they can't afford to come to me, even if I just see them once a year, um, have a huge client loyalty, because I am taking care of those things, and those things are important. But yeah, that retail for retirement has stuck with me. And if you only have $100, I would rather that you buy products from me than a service, because you're gonna get more out of that in the long run.
yeah, you can use it every day at home.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
love
Yep.
So, you guys, that is the best advice. I love that phrase. We are definitely going to tell everybody that as well. That's probably going to be the title of this episode. Thank you so much for joining us. I love your story, and I love that you're a long-time esthetician. I find we usually meet people that are younger and they've only been an esthetician 1, 2 years. They're still in school, so it's nice to see the longevity in the industry and hear from someone who's been there, done that, and has learned a thing or two, because you have so much experience that I love for people to listen and hear and learn from your mistakes. Like, for example, I would never think it would be a negative to hire people with full books, because you would think, okay, I want you to bring in your own clients. But then you said, but then where do I put the new clients? So, like, just those things you wouldn't learn in school. So, for the younger estheticians listening, or the new estheticians that have just graduated or just finished, like, really think your things through and message Rebecca on social media. I'm sure she would be happy to help, and she's very quick at replying. So, your proficiency has gone way up.
Uh, it's definitely one of those things I'm working on, but we'll get there.
Well, you're doing great. Thank you so much for taking the time. It was so fun to chat with you, and I can't wait. I'm going to follow you online so I can watch from afar too.
Thank you guys so much. Like I said, I just really appreciate having good professional. I know that you girls with your marketing, the R marketing and all of that out there, that sometimes there's a shock value, or that people, take a different perception or a different tone. But honestly, I've never worked with probably a more professional group of women or business people. And as a business owner and an esthetician, I just appreciate that so much. I mean, I'm willing to, work with you guys because of that. So it's huge.
Thank you. I love it. We always say, who knew the anal bleach girls were the most professional company?
100%.
Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.